In the heart of the forsaken town, where the memory of life had long faded into the shadows, stood the abandoned saloon, a relic from a bygone era. Its splintered wooden doors creaked as if sighing in sorrow, and its windows stared out like vacant eyes into the desolation that surrounded it. The air was thick with silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of the wind through the hollow building. A team of paranormal investigators had gathered at the saloon, drawn by whispers of restless spirits and chilling apparitions that were said to haunt its decaying halls. Their equipment gleamed in the dim light as they set up cameras, audio recorders, and motion sensors in every corner. Determined to uncover the truth that lay hidden within the saloon's time-worn walls, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows, the investigators gathered in a circle, their breath visible in the cold air. Jackson, the leader of the group, turned on his flashlight and looked at his team with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "Tonight," he declared in a hushed voice, "we seek the truth that lingers within these walls. Let's find out if the tales of the haunted saloon are more than just stories." With a nod of agreement, the investigators spread out, their footsteps echoing in the silence as they explored the saloon's dark corners. Dust danced in the air as their flashlights illuminated forgotten remnants of a once vibrant establishment, overturned chairs, shattered bottles, and faded photographs hanging crookedly on the walls. In the back corner of the saloon, a broken piano stood as a silent sentinel. Its ivory keys were chipped and yellowed with age, yet it seemed to emanate a melancholic melody of its own. Jackson approached it cautiously, his heart pounding as he held out his recorder. "Is there anyone here?" he called out, his voice quivering slightly. For a moment, the air hung heavy and still. Then, faintly, a soft sigh seemed to emanate from the piano, as if the very essence of the past were whispering its secrets. Jackson's pulse quickened, and he felt a shiver crawl down his spine. As he leaned in closer, a cold gust of wind brushed against his face, carrying with it the scent of stale alcohol and cigar smoke. The atmosphere shifted, becoming charged with an unsettling energy that seemed to seep through the very floorboards. In another part of the saloon, Emily, a young and eager investigator, examined an old mirror that hung crookedly on the wall. Her flashlight beam reflected back at her, revealing her own apprehensive expression. As she peered into the mirror, a shadow seemed to move just behind her, a shapeless figure that sent a jolt of terror through her veins. Emily turned around, her breath catching in her throat. The mirror remained empty, but the sensation of being watched lingered like a heavy weight on her shoulders. She could feel eyes upon her, eyes that held an otherworldly sorrow. Meanwhile, in a narrow hallway, Mark, the skeptic of the group, adjusted his camera settings, his skepticism slowly giving way to unease. A soft whisper seemed to curl around his ears, words that were just beyond the realm of comprehension. He glanced around, his throat tightening, but the hallway appeared empty. As he turned back to his camera, a cloud of frigid air rushed upon him. Panic surged within him, and he fumbled with his flashlight, managing to cast a dim glow on his surroundings. His eyes widened in horror as he saw faint footprints forming on the dusty floor, leading away from him down the dark hallway. The hours passed like eternities as the investigators continued to explore the saloon's secrets. Strange noises echoed through the air, the distant clinking of glasses, the creaking of floorboards, the faint strains of a piano melody. Shadows danced on the walls, and a sense of dread hung over them like a shroud. In the final hours of the investigation, the team gathered once again, their faces pale and their nerves frayed. The footage they had captured was filled with inexplicable phenomena, apparitions that flickered in and out of existence, disembodied whispers that seemed to carry messages from the past, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. As they reviewed their findings, the atmosphere in the saloon grew even heavier, as if the spirits of its past were pushing against the thin barrier between the worlds. The investigators exchanged uneasy glances, realizing that they had ventured into a realm far beyond their understanding. And as the clock struck midnight, a mournful wail seemed to resonate through the saloon, a haunting melody that sent shivers down their spines. The very walls seemed to vibrate with the sound, as if the building itself were alive with the memories of long-gone patrons. With a mixture of fear and awe, the investigators packed up their equipment, their faces etched with a mixture of disbelief and acceptance. The abandoned saloon had unveiled its secrets, revealing a world of phantoms and echoes, a realm where the past and present intertwined in a dance of darkness. As the investigators were leaving, a sudden gust of cold wind swept through the saloon, knocking them to the ground. Panic and confusion filled the air, and Emily let out a scream as an unseen force picked her up and pushed her violently against the wall. Chilling laughter echoed through the hallways as Mark and Jackson rushed to Emily's aid. They found her pinned against the wall, her fingers clawing at an invisible grip around her throat. Mark tried to pry her free, but it was as if an iron grip held her in place. Desperation and fear fueled their efforts as they struggled to free Emily from the entity's grasp. But then, with a sickening crack, Emily's head was slammed against the wall, leaving a splatter of blood and a bone-chilling silence in its wake. The entity released its hold, and Emily's lifeless body crumpled to the floor. The investigators stared in shock and horror, their breaths shallow and ragged. The saloon seemed to vibrate with evil as if the entity reveled in the gruesome display. Mark's hands trembled, his disbelief shattered by the gruesome reality before him. With heavy hearts and trembling hands, they sprinted out of the saloon, leaving behind the echoes of Emily's screams and the haunting laughter that lingered in the air. The town's desolation felt even more suffocating as they emerged into the moonlit night, forever scarred by the malevolent force that had claimed one of their own. The abandoned saloon remained, a monument to the darkness that resided within its decaying walls, its secrets and horrors locked away in a realm where the living dared not tread.